Check this out. He guided me to Tennessee. It's all happening.
Static selector.
1992 was one of rap's greatest years. Dr. Dre's The Chronic was released that year, so was Ice Cube's Predator. Bizarre Ride to the Far Side by The Far Side dropped in 92 as well, along with Redman's classic debut, What the Album. Crisscross. Crisscross is Totally Crossed Out came out in 1992 as well. I Missed the Bus was 10-year-old TCM's anthem back then. I was up, he was up, but I laid back down, thinking I could chill till the time came around, and I did. 30 years later, those bars still hold up. So many classics dropped in 1992, but one that I still love deeply to this day is 3 Years, 5 Months, and 2 Days in the Life of by Arrested Development.
I don't want no party or tight-ass country club.
No, not that Arrested Development. This Arrested Development. Arrested Development was one of the first groups from the South to break major. They were from Atlanta. They had a colorful Afrocentric ethos. They came in on the wave started by the Native Tongues in the late 1980s. They sold 4 million copies of that album, 4 million copies, with songs like Mr. Wendell, which was about a homeless man, and People Every Day, which was about the conundrum one finds himself in when you're pro-black, but brothers are disrespecting your girl. I mean, this was a time before the Telecommunications Act in 1996, which allowed for mass consolidation of media companies before the industry completely truncated what music was able to reach mass awareness. Arrested Development would stand out like a green hat with an orange bill in the 2000s. But in 1992, they're one of music's biggest acts. So much so, they won a Grammy Award for Best New Artist. Best New Artist, one of the big 4 categories presented on music's biggest night. No other rap group would win Best New Artist at the Grammys until Macklemore and Ryan Lewis took home the Gramophone in 2014. It's all happening. Arrested Development's lead single was called Tennessee. Take me to another place, take me to another land, make me forget all that hurts me, let me understand your plan. I still get chills every time I hear that song. It's a spiritual experience that comes from a personal tragedy, birthed out of a personal tragedy. Speech, Arrested Development's frontman, he's talked about this track quite a bit over the years. He said that Mr. Wendell was originally supposed to be their lead single, but they decided to go with Tennessee. He broke it all down in a conversation with DJ Vlad. Here's Speech. What ended up happening was my grandmother, who I spent all my summers with in Tennessee, passed away from a heart attack. So my whole family went to Tennessee to celebrate her life. Then the next week, my older brother Terry passed away from an asthma attack. So the last place I saw both of them was in Tennessee. So I wrote the song Tennessee, and I was extremely emotional at the time. And the song is like a prayer. So I wanted that song to come out instead of Mr. Wendell. And to me, it was the only song that made any sense to come out. And they heard it, loved it, and allowed us to shoot a video for it. And that's what made them want to do a record. They were like, yo, we get this group for the first time. To see us visually, they got it. Wow, yo, Speech's grandmother and brother must have been shining down because Tennessee was a big, big song. It peaked at number 6 on the Billboard Hot 100. VH1 ranked it number 78 on their list of 100 greatest hip hop songs of all time. The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame included it in its list of the 500 songs that shaped rock and roll. But if you listen to the lyrics, as Speech pointed out, it really does move like a prayer. In the first verse, he says, "My grandma passed, my brother's gone. I never at once felt so alone. I know you're supposed to be my steering wheel and not just my spare tire. But Lord, I ask you, be my guiding force and truth. For some strange reason, it had to be. He guided me to Tennessee." The second verse to Tennessee is visceral. Speech is talking to God and he says, "Then out of nowhere, you tell me to break out of the country and into more country, past Dyersburg, into Ripley, where the ghost of childhood haunts me, walk the roads my forefathers walked, climb the trees my forefathers hung from, Climb the trees my forefathers hung from. This is a top 6 song. That's a heavy bar. Talk about imagery. I mean, demographically speaking, right? Most Black Americans in America still live in former Confederate states. States like Tennessee, for example. So don't let anybody tell you that Black Americans, Black people in America, we don't know where we're from. We're from the land of strange fruit. Now, I grew up in the South, North Carolina, South Carolina, Virginia to be exact, but I hadn't spent much time in Tennessee until about 2018 when I was working with Empire Distribution. I brought a country artist to the label named Willie Jones and made a lot of trips to Nashville. I don't rock with country, but I rock with Willie Jones. He's a fantastic artist with stirring vocals that writes country songs with similes and metaphors. Country is a very linear storytelling genre, and Willie will say things like, nothing like family, part of your anatomy, hold you down like gravity, hold you down like gravity. That is the type of bar uncommon in his genre. He's amazing. Anyway, if you haven't heard of Willie Jones, punch yourself in the face. So this is a real story. One year we're at CMA Fest in Nashville. CMA Fest is the Country Music Awards Festival. It's one of the biggest gatherings in country music. At this point, Willie is just establishing himself in the space. We're just establishing that he's gonna be the next big thing in country music. He has an agency, CAA is his agent, one of the biggest agencies in the world. And I show up to his set, his daytime set on Broadway, rocking a Colin Kaepernick, a black and white Colin Kaepernick shirt with arrows shooting into Colin Kaepernick's body.
Jesus Christ.
Now, I've lived in New York and LA for the better part of 20 years at this point in time, and I'd been in the music industry for 10 years plus or something like that, you know? So it's been a long time since I've been in less than all-inclusive music events. So I wasn't poking at the locals by any mean or anything like that. I sincerely didn't realize what shirt that I had on. So I walk up to Willie Jones' daytime set on Broadway. I run into his manager Johnny. Johnny looks at me and goes, "That's aggressive." He was talking about my shirt. Now, if I'm there by myself, I keep that shirt on. If I'm representing Justin Hunte, the company man, I wear that shirt all day, no problem. But I wasn't there representing myself. I was there representing Empire. I was there representing Willie Jones. Country music is difficult enough to break into under any circumstances, especially when there's someone on your team punching himself in the face. This was not a time to be a distraction. So I decide I'm just gonna go buy another shirt. I walk down Broadway looking for a t-shirt shop or a merch place or some Johnny Cash museum or something where I can get something fly. And all the other festival goers are looking at me like I have a third eye on my forehead. This is June in Tennessee. It's humid and now I'm feeling really uncomfortable, okay? So I get inside the store, I find a Johnny Cash shirt I like. It's a profile silhouette. It says Cash is King on it. I like the double entendre. I make my way to the register and there's this old lady, like old white lady, like a white lady old enough, looked like she was sitting next to Rosa Parks on that bus old. And this is the first person I've talked to since Willie's manager told me my shirt looked aggressive. So I walk to the counter, I hand her the shirt. She says, "Will that be all?" I said, "Yes, this will be it, thank you." She says, "Would you like a bag for that?" And I'm like, no, I'm just gonna wear it out. And she says, "Okay, well listen, I love your shirt. I love your shirt. I know people around here, not everybody agrees and a lot of people don't like it, but those people are wrong. I love it." I was flabbergasted, floored. Here I am thinking this Rosa Parks old lady was about to hit me with the pursed lips and the judgmental eyes, and she was home team the whole time. I felt like a hypocrite in that moment. I felt like I was the one pigeonholing her based on my preconceived notions. Her saying that to me, her telling me she loved that shirt, that filled me with so much peace in that moment. That was a stressful day. That was a big event. That rested my spirit so much. I prayed for that lady years in the future. At that moment, I realized how long it's been since I lived in the South, and it felt like the South had evolved, had changed significantly for the better. I didn't expect to get that reaction, and it felt wonderful. That is until I saw what the Tennessee legislature has been doing in recent weeks. Like several states across the nation, Tennessee has been on a banning spree. The state instituted a book ban in 2022. One elected official suggested,
"But I would burn them."
The state banned abortions with no exceptions in 2022. then carved out a super narrow exception in March 2023 to protect doctors who perform abortions if, in their reasonable medical judgment, an abortion would prevent the death or serious injury of the mother. So I guess 10 steps back, half step forward? In March 2023, they became the first state to ban drag shows. I guess that was urgent. Governor Bill Lee signed the bill, but wasn't happy when he was confronted with a picture of him cross-dressing in 1977.
What a ridiculous question that is. Conflating something like that?
Going on right now. Tennessee legislators are currently debating a bill about allowing death by firing squad for death row inmates. During committee debate, Representative Paul Sherrill asked to make an amendment to the bill that sounds like a policy rollback to the days of Arrested Development's forefathers.
Now, I was just wondering about, could I put an amendment on that? It would include hanging by a tree.
Now, Representative Sherrill apologized on the floor, but there were no further repercussions for suggesting Tennessee institute state-sponsored lynching. I mean, this is the state that Speech was talking about, climb the trees my forefathers hung from. And this is what the state of Tennessee is on right now. They're rolling back the clock at record speed. And this week, they took the hoods off. Tennessee experienced a tragic mass shooting at a private Christian school in Nashville last month. A gunman entered the Covenant School and murdered 6 people, 3 adults, 3 students. This is Nashville's 3rd mass shooting in 6 years. The state has been reeling in the aftermath of this calamity, with calls from the citizenry to do something about people's ability to access, accounting for 19% of child mortality. When the legislature refused to hear calls from the people outside, 3 representatives, Justin Jones, Justin Pearson, and Gloria Johnson, interrupted the session with a bullhorn, hoping to force debate on the issue, only stopping at the urging of their own party members. Again, that was last week. This week, the Tennessee legislature held votes on whether Jones, Johnson, and Pearson should be expelled from the House altogether. Jones and Pearson are the 2 youngest Black elected officials in the Tennessee State House, and Gloria Johnson is a 63-year-old awesome white woman. Guess which one did not get expelled?
Jesus Christ.
Justin Pearson gave impassioned remarks following his expulsion from the legislature. Here's a clip. Watch this.
We knew we were going to keep our principles and our values. We knew that we were going to have our ancestors with us. We knew that we were not going to yield to injustice. And we will not yield because there's too much at stake. We see gun violence every single day. We have too many loved ones that we're putting in the ground. And these folks up here treat things like it's business as usual. It is not business as usual. Our lives are at stake, and we're going to fight for our lives just like they're fighting for the NRA.
We knew we were going to keep our principles and our values. We knew we were going to have our ancestors with us. We're going to fight for our lives like they're fighting for the NRA. Jesus. The point is this. I think about the thousands of kids nationwide, members of Generation Z, marching for their lives, and what feels like all too often, seeing the images of them flooding streets, protesting essentially for their right not to die in school. They look like images of millennials flooding the streets during Occupy Wall Street, or the Women's March, or the Science March, or the Arab Spring. They look like 4K versions of those grainy videos of baby boomers marching for civil rights or against the Vietnam War that we used to learn about in school back when banning history was unthinkable. I think about all the posts I've seen this week in response to the thousands of students in Tennessee who took to the streets against their state government for refusing to act on gun legislation and expelling the 2 Black legislators while not expelling the white one, despite the fact all 3 participated in disrupting the chamber. I think about all those posts that are suggesting that Generation Z will save society. I mean, Generation Z is different. They were raised on lockdowns and school shooter drills. Can they carry the energy they have today to combat these fascistic policies that continue to rain down like spring in Seattle? Or they end up like us, like the hip hop generation, where they also go from fight the power to secure that bag? I don't have the answer to these questions.
Static, so
Another Saturday, another TBD. Thank you guys for rocking with me each week. I really appreciate it. This one is a little bit more linear than I normally do pieces. I always like to bring it around at the end. This time I tried to treat it like country music and just kind of go straight through. My introduction to Tennessee was Arrested Development and that song Tennessee. That experience I had in Nashville with Willie Jones stands out to me so much, man. Oh my God, God bless that lady. I love that lady so much. She really calmed my spirit. And then all this stuff I've been seeing this week. Justin Jones, Justin Pearson, Gloria Johnson. You will hear about them the rest of your lives. The rest of your lives. Those three people, the Tennessee Three, are going to be icons in the future. And I do see a lot of patterns that are happening nationwide that really disturb me. What they're doing in Mississippi disturbs me. The state of Texas taking over the Houston school board disturbs me. Arkansas getting rid of child labor laws disturbs me. And everything that's happening in Tennessee. Cop City in Atlanta. How come more people aren't talking about Cop City in Atlanta? I understand that there's a lot of people from out of town who are going into Atlanta and they're protesting, but I'm not hearing it from people on the ground that I talk to, and I'm definitely not hearing it from hip hop. I think there's a lot of very big, very real issues, and I'm not seeing it reflected in the music as often. We got Fed Now that's showing up, BRICS is starting, petrodollar's gone. Everything is going to be very, very different. There's a chance things are going to be very, very different. And I hope that Generation Z can keep this energy that they have. It truly is inspiring. But the boomers went from free love to greed is good. We went from fight the power to secure the bag. I hope their fortunes turn out differently, if anything, for the sake of humanity. But nevertheless, I could be crazy. You guys let me know. But first, gotta shout out the analysts. Thank you guys for supporting this channel each week by dropping incredible analysis into the comment section. But also thank you to those of you who've donated to this channel, helping us to forward this mission each week. You guys are priceless. Lingering question is this. Have you guys heard Arrested Development? Can we talk about how great that album is? I feel like it's not talked about enough. I also feel like what happened this week in Tennessee was a monumental week in not only that state's history, but American history. If you guys have any comments on any of that, that's welcome as well. As always, I'm Justin Hunte. Like and subscribe to the channel. Follow @TheCompanyMan on everything. That's all I have.